Hello, Jimjamatic here. Welcome to the final episode of Series 1 of Road Wars episode review. It's not the final episode in general, the first one of the last one of the series. And I am joined once again by a special guest.
Hello, Anderson0132 here again. Yep, I'm looking forward to doing this heat because it's quite a good heat.
It's a good heat because it's the only heat where the grand final is in the same heat as a normal heat,
Yes.
which is just the way that they laid out for this particular series because less robots. They just thought, wow, just having one massive battle at the end. We'll get to that when we get to it, but it's a unique.
Yeah.
It's got a few interesting robots in this heat, particularly as well.
Yes,
And
it's a very interesting heat. I mean, it's one of the few heats where you look at all of the robots at the beginning and think, actually, this could go any way.
yeah, there's no obviously terrible robot, and then you start seeing them move, and then you realize which one's actually the ones that
Oh,
are
yeah.
going to do terribly. But it's not all about looks, as we also find out.
Yes.
So we'll get straight into it then. And the first robot, the robot that, in my opinion, was quite lucky in some ways to win this heat until the battles, Tracy.
Ah, yes, Tracy. Oh,
Tracy, the flattest robot I've ever seen on the show, like apart from Griffin, maybe.
yes.
This thing's so low.
A two-wheeled predecessor to Tornado, I guess you could call this one.
In some
Um,
ways,
it's just it's a two-wheel box pusher. It was one of those. It was actually quite impressive though for such a bland, obvious design. I quite liked how its spikes actually did a lot of damage to robots it was going up against.
yeah,
Um,
they had a good length on them, which was quite rare for some ramming spikes. So,
Also, first ever invertible robot, I believe, as well.
yeah,
So it gets points for that one.
it does. We never
Gets
got
points.
obviously we never got a chance to really see it become invertible, but it was nice to at least see that they actually thought about that.
It gets points for originality on that
Mm.
aspect. But I do agree with what you mean because let's be honest, its Gauntlet and Trial weren't very good, were they?
It really was
Uh,
very lucky that there's a stock robot in this heat. To be honest, it's like Dreadnought. They got damn lucky with just the way the heat was set up. I
yes,
mean,
definitely.
they did prove at least why they were a decent robot later on, but early on there was no sign of them being great. It's weird because it was like it had 10 miles an hour at speed, and then for ages you were seeing the Gauntlet and you looked at it in the trials and you think this thing's slow. But for some reason in the battles it just got really fast. It just showed, oh yeah, it does have 10 miles an hour speed. We just didn't decide to use it at any
Yeah.
point during the entire trials or Gauntlet. Well, they didn't do anything in the trials. But the biggest problem with Tracy to me was that it always felt like it should have been a four-wheeled robot, and it wasn't. The
Yeah,
a
I just don't.
two-wheeled robot with two casters seems like a weird, odd choice to put the wheels in the middle, particularly.
Yeah, definitely. I just don't. I don't think that such a thing had really been thought of at the time. A four-wheel driver. Were there
Hmm.
any four-wheel driver robots in the series? I actually don't think there were. Were there?
No, it's Robot the Bruce. That was four-wheel drive, I
Oh
think.
yeah, oh yeah. Well, yeah, that was four-wheel drive.
There's a few
Yeah.
of them, but there's not as many. Most of the robots in Series One and Series Two tend to be like, well, mostly in Series One, like a robot with two wheels and casters.
Yeah.
That's like the majority of the robots in the series. Even Roadblock is technically that, but it's much more. It disguises it a lot more than something like Nemesis or I don't know, Prince of Darkness or something like that, where it's you can see them.
I will admit, Tracy with two wheels, it did look a bit like a spiky seesaw.
It did. It always kind of acts like a seesaw, like constantly, like not as bad as Kilotron, constantly flipping
No,
up and down and not really knowing what it's doing. But
enough to be noticeable, and but it was, in my opinion, a very good showing of less is more because
hmm,
again, I mean, it used its power to its extent, and it was very impressive for a Series One robot to have enough power in its drive to easily puncture another robot's armor with what is essentially a long bendy spike.
it's true
Because
actually. I mean, it's actually a shame that they're the only grand finalists not to return for another series because they had another robot that were going to enter in Series Three but didn't make it, called
yeah,
Sharon, I think its name was.
Sharon,
Which
yeah,
actually I didn't like. I didn't think it was like it just basically looked like Tracy, but more of a T shape and then one spike at the front as opposed to two.
yeah.
I don't know because I don't think they got. I think it's because they didn't get it completed. I don't think, as opposed to not being able to enter. But I'm not 100% sure. I can't quote myself on that. But I don't know. It's yeah. We never saw these guys again, which is kind of odd.
It's a bit
For
of a shame. It would have been nice to see them again. But what can you do?
it's just one of those things, really. It happens, really. I mean, there's obviously there's a few grand finalists who heat semi-finals who don't return to other series. So I mean,
Yeah.
particularly in Series Three, there's a few of them that don't get to come back, like Blade and Trident, those kind of ones. But yeah, it's the only one in this series that does that, because at least all the others did compete, again, at least one more series.
Yes.
But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, some with varying success. I don't think Cunning Plan's predecessors had much success pastward.
No,
No,
no.
Roblox probably Roblox the most successful overall.
Yeah.
You know, actually, no, I don't know. No, what am I talking about? Robot the Bruce.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
never mind,
Oh,
never mind. There's nothing that
don't
beats
worry.
Robot the Bruce's. Well, it takes till Series 3 to actually get good.
Yes.
But oh yeah, overall Tracy isn't like a bad robot. I just think it was one of those robots that it got lucky early on, but thankfully at least when it actually had to fight, it actually proved itself.
Yes.
Which I'm glad that getting lucky wasn't like the worst thing that could have happened. Because imagine Elvis in the battles, that'd been hilarious. We'll get to that thing in a sec.
We'll get to that in this, when
Hmm.
it's necessary. I have a few things to say about that one.
Yeah, and now the runner-up of the heat, which is quoted as the slow-moving cheese sandwich, which I quite find funny. Scarab, not
Yeah, see, this
confused.
robot makes me hungry because the team said it looks like they say it thinks it looks more like a coffee cake, and I love coffee cake.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
So
but it's not to confuse with Series 3 Scarab, because hence generic name. But the Scarab, the Scarab robot was one as well. It was kind of reliable, but it wasn't that good as a robot. It was
yeah,
very reliable. It kind of got through the other heats pretty easily, and then it got lucky that its opponent was quite crap in the first battle.
yes,
But then in the second battle, I think it got well. We'll get to the battles later, but I did think it got quite unfairly eliminated in the battle. But
mm.
yeah, we'll get to that. But it's quite obvious they butchered this for Ramesses II in Series 2 because the exact same weapon on the front
Oh yeah, exactly.
and
The weapon was a bit silly if you ask me because
spring-loaded hammer is not.
I like the idea of the spring-loaded thing of it. It's the fact that it was literally just a red arm. There was like no like blade or
There was a
mallet on
there
the
was
end
a
of.
blade on the front of it, of the top, but it wasn't very big. It was like
No,
more
it was
long than it was wide.
it was like an extra millimeter, no, about a centimeter.
Yeah.
in
Actually,
thickness.
one thing that constantly kept happening, I think they improved it slightly when they moved it to Ramesses II, but the axe would sometimes fail to go back up again. It would go down, and it
Yes,
just kind of just it's just a prong at the front, and it's like it happened in the final, it happened in the gauntlet, it
like I
happened
had a
in loads of
bobblehead.
events. It just seemed to just stay stuck once it hit fired once,
Yeah.
which is a massive
Uh,
design for an axe.
well, Scarab for Series One looked good, but honestly, it wasn't a very good robot, was it? It was quite
It
poor.
was alright. I mean, for Series 1, it wasn't that bad, obviously. Series 2, it definitely, surprisingly, Ramesses II was a little bit better, even though I wouldn't call that the most amazing robot either.
Oh, it didn't even. Ramesses the second looked awful in my opinion, but
Yeah, I
we'll get
mean,
to that when we
we'll
get
get
to
to
it,
it. It's actually not
obviously.
that far away. It's about 3 or 4 heats away, actually, oddly enough.
Yes.
But actually, one thing there is to know about it, which is funny, just in hindsight, they are called Team ISIS.
Oh God.
They're called. Obviously, I know what ISIS is. I know what it was supposed to be, but I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you can't look at it and go, "Hello, we're Team ISIS," and you're like, "Oh God." It's
Hello, I'm Team Al Qaeda.
yeah. Oh, this is Jihad team next to us.
Yeah.
It's just this. Yeah, you can't hear it. It's just some. There's just some jokes. Like you look back and you just go, "Oh God."
Oh God.
That's like one of
Oh,
them. It's like I know what ISIS is. It's a god, but it's not now
it's
anymore.
like it's like when you look back on like a film you used to watch as a kid or something, and then
And
you
there's a
pick up
dirty
all the
joke in it.
adult,
Yeah.
pick up all the adult jokes. So like, oh,
Yeah,
oh,
that gets me. Yeah, but it doesn't affect the robot, but it's just quite funny how that was the thing.
yes.
But yeah, Scarab reliable but not that good. Sort of like Talos in some ways. Just
Mm.
it's there.
It,
Uh,
it basically is effective in the fact that it can move forwards. That's it.
the
Next.
artwork on it was actually the artwork was all right on it though. It was all
Oh yeah,
right.
that's it.
But yeah, I mean, Next is probably one of my favorite robots just for possibly how shit it is. The
Yeah,
Blob.
how good it is. Oh, the blob.
Oh, no, I'm saving that one for the last one out of the
Oh,
four.
okay.
The
Fair enough.
Blob. I find this robot so hilariously bad. It's just like, what is this thing?
It does actually look like a blob, doesn't it? It's like they
It is.
took a base and then just threw some random weird stuff on top of it that made it look like a blob.
Also, I love that their weapon was a lawnmower blade. At first, I thought, oh, is it like a spinning blade? No, they just glued a lawnmower blade to the front of it, and that is
Yes.
their weapon. Because I remember when I was younger trying to find where it was spinning, and I couldn't see where the blade was, and I realized it was that thing at the front. And I was like, "What is it?" And then like it's got graffiti on it, and it's like, actually, and I know it's kind of harsh on the guy who's on the team. There's nothing against the actual team, but I just kind of find it funny that the guy who's it was an appropriate name for the robot, considering if you look at the driver.
Yes.
No offense to him, but it's true. And
Thing
in
is,
fairness, the guy seemed like he was having a whale of a time, no matter what was happening.
thing
I
is,
can't.
when it comes to me and you, mate, that is two massive kettles calling pots black.
Indeed, indeed. But
As JP would say about Steve Merrill later on in the series, actually,
that's
if
true.
I remember.
Actually, but to his credit though, the guy did seem like he was quite a good sportsmanship with it. He seemed to enjoying it while he was there. I never felt like he seemed to take it quite well, realizing that his robot was pretty crap.
He seemed to just realise that I think he was one of the people who just liked the idea of it and
Hmm.
just put anything together just to get on the show and just loved it for being there. He's one of those. He didn't take it seriously, and to
This,
be honest, I respect him for
yeah,
that.
this thing broke down like easily. Like it broke down in the gauntlet, it broke down in its battle. I don't think it broke down in the trials. I don't think I might have. I can't remember, but it seemed to break down out of nothing constantly. And to add the failure to this robot, I mean, it's already not a good robot to begin with, but to add to the failure of it, this thing was supposed to be 15 miles an hour, it only goes about 5 because it's too heavy.
Should, tell you
And
what, it should have. Oh, sorry.
no, sorry, but also like Elvis, its body shell was supposed to lift upwards, but it couldn't because it was too heavy. So
Oh,
it just ends up the lawnmower blade at the front, and that's all it has.
it should have been in Series 5.
Yeah, yeah, it should have been. That's an insult to Series 5, to be honest with
Considering it used to move then just die for no
you.
reason.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, this thing was
AK
was slightly
practically the
lucky as well.
entirety of Series 9.
It was slightly lucky this one, but unlike Tracy, it wasn't actually a good robot, so it never actually had deserved to get that far. Imagine this heat. There wasn't many robots where I go, oh, that really deserved to get to the heat final, but this is one I'm still not surprised it didn't get to the heat final.
Yeah.
It is the Blob, and that
Yeah.
that is all it will be, a blob.
Yeah, all it will be is the Blob. Shame they never came back because it seems to be like
Yeah,
post
I would like them to see it come back again. I don't know. I don't know. They could have had a bit more fun with it.
They're
But
coming up with the smog
the smog, I like that. Yeah,
and then the fog. Just get a bunch of horror films.
the
You
thing,
know,
the swamp thing
yeah.
or something. Yeah,
I would love for there to be a team that base their robots every year. They build a new robot and it's based on a horror film. That'd be sick.
I would argue and say that teen deaths are basically horror films on wheels half the
Oh,
time.
really?
They feel like horror films. And you got the bog-eyed
No,
alien thing.
they
You got
were no, they were horrible robots.
Badum Tish.
Yeah.
You master
So,
us.
yeah. Yeah, sorry.
It's all right. Yeah,
Oh, he
but
stole my bit, so I'm just getting it back.
don't worry. But yeah, then the robot I think you're also thinking of, which is again probably hands down one of the most unaesthetically looking robots ever. The Prince of Darkness.
Now,
Uh,
this robot, right, is literally like the oddest thing ever because it is quite hands down and quite simply the single worst robot ever made, but yet it
technically,
was good.
yeah, it's
That's what annoys me about it. And to be honest, I respect it a lot because this thing, which is literally a 25-kilo box on two wheels and a little wedge on it, that wasn't even painted properly before it entered the arena
no,
at the first, was capable of pulling a car, winning the gauntlet, and winning the trial.
and
And
actually, yeah,
it just goes to show that again, the gauntlet and trials kind of got in the way because it let robots that weren't capable of fighting, which is what the main point of the show was.
hmm.
I'm sorry, but it was. It meant robots that were capable of fighting lost out earlier, and meant robots that weren't capable of fighting but could drive well and do all these. Oh, look, we can get around a maze quicker. That means we're a superior robot. Well, this is the living proof, really, that you're not, because it
No,
died an easy death, which we'll get to later on.
yeah,
But I do respect it because, in all honesty, for a robot that is so uncouth, I think, which is the perfect word for it, really, it was an all right performer. So, well
it
done,
was
guys, if you're
actually.
watching.
I quite liked it. I mean, one thing I liked about Prince of Darkness, funny, it took 5 hours to make, which must be like a massive uh, middle finger to someone like Mortis, who every year come back with a really big robot, a really good robot, and every
Yes.
time, apart from like Series 1 and 2, they did okay. In Series 3 onwards, they just like fail,
Well,
fail. Uh,
lels.
and then when they finally succeed, they retire.
Yes, it's
All
like,
right,
yeah,
fair enough.
we're actually winning now, so we're going to retire. Wait,
Yeah,
what?
but ends on at least it ends on a high note.
Yeah.
But yeah, Prince of Darkness. One thing I finds it hilarious. You'll see it when I'm doing review up at the little when they come out the gate and all that. It just had the words "The Prince of Darkness" written on it.
Yeah,
I
like
find that so funny.
and a really poorly drawn, scary face.
Yeah,
Like
I'd
two
love that.
triangles and like a little squiggle for like a mouth or something. What the fuck is
To their
this?
credit, though, to their credit, they actually made it look at least aesthetically pleasing for the battle. It looks,
Yeah, I tell you what, it looked quite
stuff like
nice.
it
Yeah.
actually was more competent by then, but even then, it wasn't really aesthetically pleasing.
This team proved that you could take a plastic box, cut it in half, and use it effectively.
Just throw a wheelchair in it, and you're fine.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
they did. That's what they did. I mean, did you not do that in the snooker? They took a plastic box, didn't they?
yeah, and just put it as
Cut
a.
like one of the sides off it and used it as a ball controller, and it actually worked really well.
So they did have interchangeable weaponry, official.
Oh god.
But actually, well, the last thing I find really odd about it is that it's official picture. You can tell they took a picture of it before they were halfway through finishing it, because it has no front. If you look at the
Yeah.
picture, the wheels are sticking out, and it's got no like wedge at the front. They just like, oh, we're not done with it yet. Well, we need to take a picture of it for the show. Fine, can get it the
Yeah.
best angle we
You just
possibly can without showing how
see a
crap.
producer walking by with like a monocle and a cigar, just smoking it, just like, oh, we need to take a picture of this. It's not finished yet. Fuck it, take it now. Sort of
It's
thing.
ironic. It's ironic that the robot called Uglybot in this series was not the ugliest robot. I just find that really strange. Like, I think there's way worse robots you could have. I mean, Prince Darkness could be called Uglybot as far as I'm concerned, but
Yeah.
it was effective at least until it got to the battle.
Psycho Sprout, the world's only moving mummified testicle.
Yep, and the only one that's literally got no weapons and no anything. It's just a ball. We'll never stop referring to Psycho Sprout until this is the last time we can talk about Psycho Sprout because it's not going to be in the rest of the series or any other series.
Damn.
That's where I've talked about in every single heat of this review series. Oh well, it's tradition now, I guess. But
Yeah, I have to do it in the next seat. Oh,
and
we'll get to that
now
later.
the next robot is unfortunately the last of the three annoyances of this series. The stock robot, Eubank the Mouse slash the Mouse. They had two names for it for some reason in this series. They kept.
Celebrate, the stocks are gone. Sorry.
Oh, it's all right. This is probably the most average of the ones. I'd say it was like too fast for its own good. Like the intro proved that pretty easily. It just fell off the ramp. It somehow went to the ramp. That's how far this thing went out the beginning bit. The
I'd
ramp.
probably say it was the more competent of the three. Like, if there was a battle
Oh
between
yeah,
the three
yeah. It probably would have
robots, I
won.
think this would have won.
WYSIWYG
But at
still
the
was.
same, oh yeah, WYSIWYG was pointless, man. Seriously, that was all. How
Robot's
that
right.
won in America, I will never know. But anyway, um, it's a triangle with two little arm things on it,
Yeah.
and a head of a mouth. It's not going to do well, was it?
Yeah.
Even if it was in a general its own robot, I don't think it would have done that well.
No, it's just really bland without all the decorations on it. Really, it is just a triangle with two eyes on it.
Yeah,
And
well, it
actually,
is.
the one thing I always kind of find weird is that this is actually the only stock robot out of the three that was actually later driven by a returning competitor that actually drove their robot. Because obviously, the one who drove WYSIWYG went into Corella Team in Series 2, which wasn't driving it.
Yes,
Obviously, the guy who created was Challenger in Challenger 2 from Series 2 and 3.
yes.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah.
another really cool thing like you, Bantam, is it's technically the only one of the stock robots to have actually done better than a robot that went through in the trial stages.
Hmm.
Tracy literally drove into the net and died in like the first 5 seconds.
Yeah.
The mouse died about 10, 15 seconds. Sorry, died in commas.
Yeah.
It's not commas, idiot, speech marks. Literally, like 10, 15 seconds later. So technically, they should have gone through with that.
Hmm.
But obviously,
True.
because it was a stock robot, they didn't let it go through. So
The sad thing, because how badly Tracy did, I would just let him through. To be honest with you, I mean, that Tracy, that was so pathetic. You don't even deserve to get to the next round. I mean, at least Dreadnought moved.
yeah, exactly.
You didn't even have at least Shogun lasted a decent amount of time. You didn't. You just Tracy. You don't even deserve it at this point.
Yeah, he drove forward and died.
You could have. Yeah, oh god. I don't get how
And
you managed to go forwards, then turn sideways like, the only way you could go is forwards, but whatever. But
yes.
yeah, I mean, the only other interesting thing about the mouse really is the fact it's the only lightweight in the series.
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it?
Because there's a few middleweights, a few featherweights, obviously, and the rest of them are heavyweights. But yeah, it's only lightweight.
Wait, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think Wedgehog. Yeah, because otherwise, like Warthog was a middleweight and things like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Wedgehog was a middleweight.
Uh,
No, I think it's literally only lightweight.
might have been. If not, there wasn't many in this. Actually, maybe Psycho Sprout and Wedgehog were. They might have been.
Maybe.
They might have been, but there's not many. It's only Stock Robot that was kind of the lighter, probably one of the lighter Stock robots, but
Yes.
because Problem was obviously the heaviest.
Yes.
But yeah, this it's all right. It's just when it was way too fast for its own good. Unlike Grunt, which felt a bit more controlled, this thing just went into everything. When it
Yeah.
was driving again, as I said, when it was introduced, it went so far, it went into the ramp and fell off the ramp somehow. I don't get how you did that in an intro, but they did. It's like Demolisher just committing suicide in its own introduction, which is still hilarious. But
Ah, good old Demolisher.
good old Demolisher. But yeah, U-Bound Mountain's not much else to really say about it, to be honest with you. It's just a
Nah.
triangle with boxing gloves.
Yep.
It happens to be a mouse for some reason.
Yes.
And the last robot is, oh boy, it's a favourite of mine. Elvis.
Oh, God, I
The
hate
king is
Elvis.
still alive, as they say. And I'll be honest with you, I really hate this thing.
Yes.
I hate
What?
I don't hate the Series 2 one as much. I hate the Series 1 one a lot more. Simply
Oh, God.
because, right, I mean, there's a robot in Series 3 later on, which I will always say is the worst designed robot in the entire series. This is the second worst designed robot in the entire series for me. I'm saying period. I'm not even
Like,
saying in this
ever.
series. For the simple fact that they created, right, nothing wrong with the lifting. Like, Flirty Skirty did that, the second Elvis did that, Blob tried to do it. A lifting thing isn't that bad. As long as you don't show off all the electronics like Elvis did.
Yes.
Actually, everything you can see, the complete innards of Elvis. And why did you do that? Why did you make everything that's in your robot vulnerable with your own robot?
Another thing
It's
that really winds me up about it as well is that that was meant to also help them with ground clearance, yet they still got
oh,
stuck on the ramp.
they
How is
still
that even
suck.
possible?
Like, well, how's that helping with ground clearance? It doesn't really raise the bottom of the robot, so it doesn't increase your ground clearance. It actually just keeps it the same, but just makes your center of gravity higher. That's all
Yes.
you've done. And then that stupid little spring-loaded, pinprick at the front.
Also, what made them think that Elvis was a flying saucer?
What a strange
I
concept
mean,
for a
if you
robot,
look
though.
at it, yeah, look at it. It is literally a flying saucer with Elvis's head replacing an alien.
Yeah, at
It
least
looks like a lampshade on wheels. It's
the Series
ridiculous.
2 version looked like his actual outfit. So you could
Yes.
say, oh, it's his body, but no, like here, it is literally just Elvis in space with a spike that lifts up and down somehow, and somehow broke the Sergeant's saw again.
Yeah, I am
Uh,
actually quite annoyed because I do vlogs on the Robot Wars wiki. I
hmm,
did one for worst robots recently, and
yeah.
I completely and utterly forgot about Elvis.
Oh, that's bad. That's terrible.
Um, I know I don't think it's the worst one. We'll get to the worst one. It's quite a few series away, but I will when we get to that first one.
Could you at least spoil what series it's in?
It is in series 6.
Oh, so it's not. Oh, okay, I was gonna say I thought it was Iron Mask then, but I guess not.
No, 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 no.
I
And
guess it must be on the list at some point though.
yeah.
But all right, okay. Oh, we got some spoilers there for later.
Yeah, spoilers for later, inside tips. But no, in all honesty, no, this robot is rubbish. It is
Absolutely.
absolutely
I mean,
pathetic
it's weird
by
how
any standards. It's pathetic by Series 1 standard, and that's saying
I
something.
know.
Anything from Pete D could have beaten this, okay? Bugs would have beaten this pile of tripe, and that thing couldn't even drive in a straight line. This is one of the worst examples of a robot I have ever seen. It makes Team Death robots look like Chaos 2.
Hmm.
It's that bad. Okay, maybe
Uh,
not that bad, but still, it's pretty bad.
it's not a good robot. We've concluded.
Yes.
Nah. So yeah, what a surprise! It didn't make it past the gauntlet. That's a big shock there. Uh,
Yeah.
but speaking of the gauntlet, it's like some robots did really well, and then some robots just failed. Like
Yeah.
like half the robots failed at this gauntlet, and half actually did alright. Like obviously, Prince of Darkness was the most successful because they just decided to go for the ramps, which you think would be the most obvious route to go for with some of the. One time, like some of the robots have very low ground clearance. Cough, cough, Elvis. But at least they're probably the only robot that had decent ground clearance enough to go on the ramps. And just,
Yeah.
although it was kind of bullshit how they said, oh, they didn't quite make it across the line, but then they had to go through again just to get across the line, even though some robots barely get across it. But like, I swear, robots like Recyclops and Scarab didn't actually get all the way across the line. But all right, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? We'll just say this for this one time you didn't do it.
It happened also in Series 2.
Actually, yeah, Nemesis did that in Series 2. Only like a third of their body was over across the line.
Yeah, and they cast us in. Yet Kilohertz went 3/4 of the way
Oh,
in,
no, it
pretty
didn't count. Of
much.
course not.
That didn't count.
Even though that's probably the most impressive gauntlet run I've seen in my life.
She just went vroom,
Like,
vroom,
screw
straight
the,
back. Oh
screw the
wait,
Sentinel. I'm just going to go straight forwards. Like, Shumi tried to do something similar, but just fell off the ramp.
yes,
But yeah, Prince of Darkness probably had the most successful one. Scarab actually didn't do too bad. They just sort of powered their way through slowly until
yeah,
they got their way. And again, the spring-loaded ram didn't really spring-load as much as fall down, and then just get stuck in front of them, which made it harder to get through. I noticed if they just
yeah.
kept upwards. The mouse kept just crashing into half the obstacles before managing to finally go forwards and getting through.
Yes,
Once again, not very good, well-controlled robot. Not as bad as WYSIWYG or something like that, but it's still pretty bad.
damn terrible.
The blob broke down because
Shock, horror, surprise.
Tracy got further than I thought it did, but it still was quite lackluster here.
It was very unimpressive start, wasn't
So slow. I was like, I didn't believe that thing was 10 miles an hour. Right. It's just don't know why weren't having loads of speed, but it just didn't really do anything.
it? Mm.
And then Elvis. That's
It existed, and that's pretty much it. There
it
you
was,
go.
unfortunately, though, what would have happened if it had gone against the House Robots? It would have been slaughtered. So the ramp probably was their better bet, but they couldn't get on it. So
Give them some credit though. They managed to make Sergeant Bash's saw fly off. I think.
no, they broke it in half. I think, like somehow.
Bloody hell, Sergeant Bash was rubbish in Series 1, wasn't it? Good God.
Actually, most of the House Robots are crap in Series 1. I think Matilda was like the only salvageable one.
Yes.
Because at least her robot weapons are actually okay.
Well, Dead
But
Metal saw had to be removed because it flew off
oh yeah,
and broke, so it had to have like that rubber little thumper thing put on it, so it had to be more like a hammer than it did like an
I was
actual.
arguing that Dead Metal Saw was worse in Series 2 than Series 1.
Yes.
I don't know why. It just like that this weird metal saw that had like bits cut off it, and it just kept stopping on every bit of armor it was on.
Mhm.
But no, it was quite a weirdly kind of bipolar gauntlet. Some did well, some did absolutely awful,
Yeah.
and there's no in between. It wasn't like an average one. But due to stupidity and low ground clearance, Elvis was out. Stock robot got through. One of the few times I didn't.
Ah,
One of the few times I didn't mind the stock robot getting through. I was like, screw that. All right,
yeah.
Elvis with a blob, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like I
That was
didn't
pretty
feel
much
bad for
it.
some of the. This is how bad it got. Some of the performances in this heat that I didn't really care the stock robot got through. The other two heats, I was like, oh, Plunderbird Barry could have done something. No, Elvis, no, no.
Get off. Okay. Go. See you later. Bye.
Especially the next in the trials.
Yeah.
A very weirdly unique trials actually. Not pinball, snooker. Sorry, so I call it pinball, snooker. I don't really. I can see why I didn't bring this one back. To be honest, it's pretty boring to watch. This one.
See, I actually quite liked it. I thought it was really cool. I liked it. I thought it was like a five-way soccer. I thought it looked quite cool.
Oh really?
Although I will question why they called it snooker when that is not how a snooker table looks or how many
Just called
balls
it
on the
snooker
table.
because they arranged them in a triangle at the beginning. I think that's the only reason.
Yes,
Why.
but no, I honestly thought it was all right. I quite enjoyed it, to be honest.
Tracy failed at this absolutely massively. Again, I think I was hitting him before, but I don't get why they managed to go sideways in a straight line.
I don't.
They turned sideways and then pronged themselves into the wall, unable to move.
And like I said, the mouse technically did better.
And this is why they lost in the grand final, because they have no control.
Prince of Darkness proved itself again here. Did very well.
The Blob and
Managed
Scarab
to
did okay. Actually,
managed to score.
Scarab had quite a really cowardly tactic of just getting one ball in and then not just hiding in front of its net. Which
Yeah.
seems really stupid because also in this case it worked. But obviously the robots are really fast and like kept going to balls. Then what? You have to start moving again.
Well, for what we could know, could have broken down.
Yeah, the blob broke down.
As a surprise, it could have broken down though. Scarab could have broken down over its goal.
They still would have let it through though, because the mouse was in there.
Yeah.
But if Elvis had been there, I would have said Tracy would have probably got out. Even Elvis has scored nothing, they would have moved more than Tracy.
Oh, definitely.
So, and then obviously the blob broke down, and then of course the mouse irreparably broke down, which is the bullshit way of saying we don't want it to go through to the next round.
Yes.
Like WYSIWYG. At least, all right. To its credit, at least WYSIWYG kind of looked like it could have broken down. The mouse just stopped. Just thought I'll park myself next to the wall, and
Yeah,
then
there
just
you go.
yeah. I mean, to its credit, at least WYSIWYG made it look like it actually made it more convincing. Like smack, got hit by Sergeant Bastard and went flying into like it lost control and went into the wall. Here it's like, no, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
Not believe this one for a second.
Prince of
Uh,
Darkness once again proved itself to be a very good robot in this trial. It was
Actually, I
and
was actually
was
up
it
until
goals
this
or was it
point.
4 goals? I can't remember.
Definitely the first. It was four. It was like seven, I think they got.
Oh yeah, they got a load, didn't they? They got
They got
loads.
loads more than everyone else. Like Blob got like two or three. Scarab got one. They got like seven or something. It was like quite a big number, or eight maybe. It was like a massively, say, absurdly big number. But yeah, I mean, they definitely deserved to get through. I mean, up until this point when I was watching it the first time I ever watched it, I really wanted them to win, even how crap they looked. Because
Yeah.
they deserved it so far. They've actually put the most effort in. But and then the battles came in. Because
Yes.
we lost you back the mouse because of reasons that we've gone through twice now. And then they go out, and then the first battle is Prince of Darkness against Tracy, and we finally see Tracy do something in a battle for a change. Because Prince of Darkness is all dolled up, it looks nice now, and it gets completely. His tires get burst by Tracy.
Yeah.
That was
When a
actually,
punctured tire was actually a serious thing.
to his credit, that's one of the few times that actually proper damage been done to a robot where it's like it stops them from moving as opposed to just flipping them over or driving onto the grill. It was actually a proper KO,
Yeah.
which I
I
actually
mean,
quite liked. It's rare to see in this series.
it's weird, isn't it? Because like, I mean, especially when you look at like Series 7 and things, like robots like Gravity, for example, they both their tires got punctured and they went into a tornado, yet they were still capable of moving around.
It was the
Meanwhile,
tires they had, perhaps, because it looked like it didn't look as bad when they first hit them. Then the tires like really deflated by the end,
yeah,
and they're barely moving, and it's like, oh, they're just limping at this point.
and then it's got rammed into submission. But yeah, and it was this was the match that made me realize just how cool Tracy actually was. Because yes, it was very lucky at first,
Hmm.
but it proved that it was actually quite a deadly killing machine.
It had force behind the spikes as well.
Yes.
Because the biggest trap that a lot of robots come into when having spikes on them is that they don't have any force or speed behind their fences. Unlike something like Tornado, Spikosaurus, I'm trying to think of the right, any powerful spiked robot. Like they're ones that come to mind. Those two. Like you
Yeah.
have to have a lot of force behind your hit in order to do a lot of damage. Obviously, Stegosaurus did it without spikes, but they would. I think they had spikes in front of Stegosaurus. They could have done a lot of damage. And it's the same thing here. They actually are quite fast, but they have the spike. The spikes are decent length. They're quite strong. They're not weak. They actually do some damage.
Yeah.
And it's one of the few times you see spike weapons that are actually extend quite far out of the robot, like Spikosaurus.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really nice it's refreshing to see a robot in the first two series actually do damage to a robot. It's like when you
Definitely. Yeah.
saw it's like when we saw Behemoth against Kilohertz, Kilotron, even though it's like a really tiny bit of damage, it's like, oh, okay,
Yeah. It actually
physical
seems to
damage for a
damage.
change.
Yes.
It's very rare or like King Buxton against Roadblock. I think it's actually smoking by the end of it.
Yeah.
But
I actually completely forgot, by the way,
what?
one thing we
What's that?
missed out about the trial.
What's that?
That is, we had the first ever expletive uttered in Robot Wars history.
Was it a bitch?
She's a bitch, yes.
Oh, of course, I forgot. How did we forget that bitch line?
I don't know.
I don't know. Ah, but there you go. That's a little tidbit in case you wanted a bonus.
There you go, little bonus.
It
It's
relates
called
to
the
Tracy. I
tidbit.
guess it counts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Tracy pretty much just in the most overdramatic terms, annihilated Prince of Darkness.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, they pretty much they won that. There was no bullshit in this battle. Not yet, but we got one more battle to go until bullshit starts appearing a little bit.
Yeah.
The next battle was really boring in comparison. The Blob versus Scarab. Two robots look identical, body shape wise,
Yes.
which really
And
confused
nothing
me. 'Cause I was like,
happened.
I never realized how similar they looked until they were together. And I kind of
Yeah,
wish
I know.
they'd
Yeah.
I wish they'd split them up because it's weird seeing them two together. I don't want they're too similar, so it's kind of boring. Neither of them have effective weaponry, so it became a pushing contest. And then Scarab pushed him away, and then spoilers, the Blob broke down.
Yeah. I
Because
personally think that if they had a Tracy versus the Blob and Scarab versus Prince of Darkness,
that would have been interesting. I think
Yeah. I
Scarab,
think Prince
Tracy
of
would have won.
Darkness. Yeah, Tracy and Prince Darkness would have won, and then we would have had the cool fight that we just saw
It's the final.
as the heat final, which would
But
have been which
yeah,
would have been a better heat final that happened.
but in this
But
case, it's got a pushing match and it broke down. That was basically the
yeah,
battle.
yeah, what we basically we had two very unshocking things. One, Scarab's axe only works once, and
Yep.
two, the blob died. That was
Yeah.
literally it. That was literally the entire match. One axe shot, dead weapon, little bit of pushing, dead blob.
Yeah.
Way.
I mean, no axe can ever compare to Iron Mask's ineffectiveness.
Oh no,
I
no, no,
bet
no, no.
I refuse to call that thing an axe.
Yes,
But
I don't know. I mean, a kill from Series 6 wasn't exactly the most
actually,
impressive of axes.
Bumblebot's axe was like, big but did fuck all.
Yes.
It's so much to the
Oh
point where Dead
God.
Metal decided to do dentist work on it.
Yes.
And even though it wasn't a bad robot, Ultor's axe was pretty pathetic.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
what about what was it? Crippler from Series 3.
Oh God, Crippler! My God, I forgot about Crippler. That's a
That's
robot. That's a robot I always forget about that exists.
and Sergeant Meekle,
So,
perhaps the slowest axe I've ever seen in my life.
the only stuttering axe I've ever seen in my life.
Yes. It's
Uh,
pathetic.
yeah, but I love that. So that's how interesting this battle is. We've talked about all the bad axes we can think of.
Yeah. This
But yeah,
match
I mean,
sucks.
there's
There you go.
nothing much to the battle really.
No, nothing much at all. And then the heat final
Oh
was
boy,
alright. No, I'm joking. The final was dreadful.
it wasn't a good heat final. But the thing is, right, the controversy, like for some reason, there's a few heat finals have had controversy. Like Body Hammers had controversy, and now Rod
Mortis.
Mortis had controversy, and now this one has controversy. Like three of them have controversy. Half the finals have controversy.
Yes.
This one was actually just about the House Robots just decided not to use their PPZs this time. No, CPZ, sorry. Just not even bothering with whether they just kept coming out constantly.
Yeah.
And then
And
it got to the
eventually
point
killed
where,
Scarab.
oh yeah, Trace did massive damage to Scarab, i.e. taking a tiny bit of the plastic off.
Yes.
I love how over dramatic JP got about that. And
Yeah.
it's just a tiny bit. It's not even like it's not even like proper damage. It's like superficial damage. Oh wow!
Very.
It's like
It
some
was.
Nemesis fur falling off. Oh no!
Oh my God! Nemesis is naked. No.
Yeah, it's like, oh god. But then the bit that gets bullshit is because Tracy for some reason just lost control and went into Sergeant Bash. I don't know why. It's like the fastest I've seen that thing ever move.
Yeah.
And then Scarab just gets KO'd by Matilda.
Yeah. Matilda
Why?
chopped
It
off
just
its
came in,
aerial,
just
didn't
the
she?
aerial, and it's out.
Yeah. That was
Why?
very, very wrong, if you ask
At
me.
no point was Scarab in trouble. It was moving slow, but again, it moves slow all the time.
Yeah.
It just kind of turned around because it just saw Tracy move the other way and went, oh, I'm going to go this way. Started going toward that direction, and then whilst Tracy was stuck against Sergeant Bash, Matilda just killed them. And then that was it. And then they lost.
I mean, let's put it this way: that match, literally, right, what happened was that this match was literally the two of them just plodding around into each other.
Hmm.
Tracy got his spike stuck in, took off a little bit of plastic, then lost control, drove into Sergeant Bash, and started dry humping it for some reason. And then Matilda just comes along and just uses her ass of death
Hmm.
on Scarab. And it just felt a little bit
Unfair.
random, that. I don't really, I mean, I think personally, Tracy as well obviously lost control.
Hmm.
And I think maybe there was like a ploy to try and keep Tracy in it. I
I
don't
don't
know.
think so. I don't know why they'd be the favourites, but
Yeah, I mean, it was just such a random heat final. It's easily the most random heat final that ever happened. There we
yeah,
go, because it did this honestly. This entire battle just made no sense.
yeah. It
There was
was
there was no at no point did we know who had won or who had lost, and then all of a sudden now well, you're dead, bye.
yeah. It felt a bit arbitrary which the House Robots decided who to attack who and why they attacked them. Like if I was part of the Scarab team, I would be asking why the House Robots attacked me. Because
Yes.
there were no danger. They weren't in the PPZ. They weren't on the spikes. They weren't on the grill. They were just turning to react towards where Tracy went and carried on going that direction. And Matilda went, "Nope, you're dead. Bye.
Yep.
See you later."
Oh no,
If
sorry.
anything, Tracy was doing worse. I bet he probably would have won 'cause that tiny bit of shitty plastic that he took off it. Probably would have won it. Won the damage calculation. But
Yeah.
which is still an unfair way of doing it. Just because you have more damage, therefore means you won.
Yeah, that's
I
why I
mean,
prefer the modern criterion.
yeah. Thankfully, control I think's the higher one now, isn't it?
No
Oh,
aggression.
aggression. That makes more sense than damage.
Aggression, damage, and then control.
Yeah, and no style because nobody understood what style meant.
Yeah.
It
Oh
barely even
well,
tried at the time.
it was an excuse for Razor to win.
It
I mean,
also
think
didn't
about it, right?
it didn't even
Oh
make sense
look,
at the time.
Razor's just been pushed around a lot. It's been absolutely dominated. So it won on damage, great, but then the other two criteria got owned in. Oh, but it looked really pretty, so it gets lots of more points. No, no,
Yeah,
no. It's not a beauty contest.
the Robot Wars contest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but anyway, despite the weird Heat final that I still don't understand what the hell happened, we somehow Tracy won that somehow,
Yes.
and then that means they're into the grand final and a unique grand final where all the six robots that won their heats just went into a massive battle royale and went right now you're just fighting together,
Yeah.
and so
Now,
we.
James, you watched this when it aired live, didn't you? The first, well, not aired live, but the first time it aired
I
when
watched
you
the
were a little
repeats
kid.
after series two, but yeah, I've seen them
All right,
quite
fair
early.
enough.
But
Did you who were you backing, or did you already know who the winner
well, I
was?
knew
Oh,
the
you
winner
probably
was, but I'm thinking if I was trying to think if I was watching it for the first time, because I always knew because obviously they had reigning champion in series two, I knew Roadblock won. But
yeah.
obviously, if I didn't know who was going to win, I would have still chosen Roadblock. In all honesty, it's
You
just
see,
it's the most reliable, it's the biggest run, it's the most effective. Um, I mean, the only other robot that was quite effective in its heat was probably Robot the Bruce,
hmm.
but it was just so small comparatively.
Yeah, no, you see,
Uh,
when because I obviously when I first watched this, it was on YouTube, but I didn't know who had won the first series at that point because I'd only watched series three onwards.
oh, I see.
I knew Panic Attack had won series two because they mentioned it constantly
Yeah.
after series two, but obviously I didn't really know Roadblock had won because obviously every time they mentioned us, so
It was
it
just
didn't
it
really
was a
go
different
in.
robot in series three as well.
Yeah, it was Robot the Bruce, wasn't it? And it didn't really go in. Not Robot the Bruce. Beast of Bodmin.
Hmm.
So I didn't think Robot was going to win. I thought it was going to be Cunning Plan. No, I'm joking, not Cunning Plan. No, I thought it was going to be, believe it or not, Tracy actually,
I can see why.
because it was the
It's
only
invertible.
invertible one. Yeah, it was invertible, and because of its power, I mean, like, okay, it only took off a little bit of plastic off of Scarab, but it still was able to spike into it.
Hmm.
And I thought it could do the same thing, and then it just sort of just died on Cunning Plan. Oh, well, that's
Yeah.
yeah,
We
okay,
should, we should probably
bye.
should probably go into the order of the robots that lost, obviously, because well, the
Yes,
ones who lost first were Cunning Plan and Tracy together.
yes,
This is why the ref bot exists, by the way, because this would
yes.
not be allowed in normal series nowadays. If they just got stuck on each other, you wouldn't
Yeah,
just go, "Oh, they're out."
yeah,
All
because
right, fair enough. It's like,
basically what happened was Tracy got stuck onto Cunning Plan's wedge,
hmm,
but because Tracy weighed so much, Cunning Plan couldn't move out from under it or push it along,
this is why
so they
this
were
made it
both dead.
four-wheel drive.
So technically, I would say Cunning Plan came fifth there simply because it was its attack
Yeah,
which ended it for both of them.
it's
So
a bit
I'd say
unfair on Cunning Plan though, even more so than it already was.
yes.
It's like, oh, well, you just can't move. Oh, all right.
No, I'll leave you there. Lol.
It's the equivalent of a bully pinning you down.
It is. Yeah, it's just the
While you're
equivalent
on a
of like
sinking ship, you're both going to
kids
die,
at
but I'm
school
going to take you
kissing.
down with you. And
But
then
yeah, I mean,
Cyclops went out next, which is spoilers. Their chain fell off,
yeah, that was
which is
horrible.
obviously nobody predicted that ever, because Rex Garrett's
Well,
machines for some reason love having their chains falling off.
yes, another case of a rare KO in
I know actually,
series.
yeah, I think it was Roadblock that caused it. I think
Roadblock did it. They're
so
showing them
Roadblock
around.
killed everything almost.
Yeah,
Then
pretty much. Yeah.
Robot the Bruce's death was probably the funniest one. I loved it
Oh
because
yeah,
Robot Bruce was like eyeing because I think they just after finishing off Recycles, Robot just kind of turned around. Robot the Bruce was like, right, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go for it. Runs up and just goes up on its side.
yes.
Because it wasn't like Robot ran into them; they ran into it. And
It was like one foul swoop, wasn't it? Robot just turned around. All of a sudden, this robot just went up its side
yeah,
and went on it
it
over
was
the
very similar
its
to.
side.
It's probably one of the most satisfyingly funny KOs I've seen in my life. Probably, I mean, it's a slight off track, but it actually does relate to Roblox in some ways. My favorite KO of a series was Onslaught against Roblox in series three. Oh, no, Beast of Bobbin in series
You did
three.
the same thing. You did the same thing I did
I
then,
did,
didn't you?
yeah, it's too easy, but yeah, I love that KO. Like it's moving, spinning around.
Yeah.
It's really fast. So Beast of Bobbin can't keep up. Goes into the ramp, flip. Oh, you're out. You're out.
Oh, bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Like
Thanks for
something's
coming,
death in
lad.
series four. Just it's just the way
Oh yeah,
robots can take themselves out. It's funny. And then yeah,
absolutely.
but Robot the Bruce's death was the funniest one by far. It made me laugh on the first time I watched it. It was like I think it wouldn't been less funny if Robot had attacked them. But it was just the mere fact that George Francis went right. I'm gonna go for it. On its
Yeah.
side. Yeah, it was just it was like yeah, no, it was just really silly. And then obviously
And
Body
then
stayed out of everything basically, like it always does.
Body Hammer and Roblox basically had a little bit of a dance in the middle of the
Yeah.
arena at the end together, just to celebrate that they were the last two running.
In
Um,
fairness, though, Body Hammer did absolutely nothing in this heat final.
oh yeah, I did nothing.
It did
What
nothing.
I think's brilliant. This is easily the best match of the series.
Well, yeah,
And I absolutely love it because it was crazy, it was silly, it was funny in places, like you said. But the thing I really liked about it was just the fact that it was literally just Roblox owning everybody. I mean, literally, like, okay, Cunning and Tracy killed themselves, fair enough,
mm.
and then Roblox just has no problem whatsoever, just driving on the recycle, ramming it into submission. The minute he's done that, oh, over you go, Robot the Bruce. We're like, oh, hello, Body Hammer, come here, now it's your
Yeah.
turn.
It was
And it
like, who am I
starts
going to pick up
chasing,
next?
and it starts chasing it at the end. It's just like, again, it's like the bully in the schoolyard. He's just like walking around, punches one kid in the face, goes to another kid, throws him on the floor, goes to the next kid, right, you're next, come over here. Well, hey, over you go.
Yeah, it
It's
was
great.
absolutely it was a fun battle. I mean, obviously there's a low standard for Series One, but even then, it was such a great battle. And I kind of wish,
Yes.
and also I know we made the series a lot shorter, but I would have loved it if series the reboot series did that. I don't know why. It would have been just funny as hell if they just decided to do that. Like, no, we're not gonna have a proper grand final. We're just gonna have them all in one arena.
Yeah, I would have
Why
liked
not?
them to have done I would have liked to have done a sixth heat and then have just a six-way battle for the final.
Actually, I
That
would
would
like
have
to
been.
have exhibition heat, like a kind of like they did in Series Two, with like rematches and all that kind of stuff. Because there's a
Oh
few
yeah,
right,
that too.
because it could have been like a few rebattles, like Ironside versus Pulsar, that's something like that or something.
Yeah, that's a couple of rematches
Yeah,
or
I know. So that'd been quite good. Or I
yeah,
don't
oh,
know.
that would have been
Or
nice.
Gabriel versus Nuts.
Yeah,
That'd been kind of
yeah,
hilarious.
a battle between the five heat finalists, the other four heat finalists that
Well,
didn't make it through.
that'd be like nice to see. It'd be like an all stars tournament in case of three of them.
Yes.
But yeah, so this is actually a really good ending to Series One, I would say.
Yeah,
It definitely satisfied. It was a satisfying battle to watch.
yeah.
Having
Sorry.
no, that's right. I was just saying having them all together. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, it was a very satisfying end. Good battle, great fun. Deserving champion by
Oh,
every meaning
definitely,
of the
yeah.
word. Very deserving champion. Um, Entertaining battle. Little annoyed the Body Hammer game runner up, despite doing absolutely sod all the entire series. But yeah,
And somehow it's only seed number 3 in Series 2.
yeah. Well, the reason why is obviously because seedings were never places.
Hmm.
They were how much of a favorite you were. So obviously, if you were seeded for second, let's say, you were the second favorite robot to win the series,
Yeah.
which is fair enough. But for some reason, people thought it ended up thinking, and I'm a victim of this myself, believe it or not, until about a year ago when I actually realised what the hell it was.
Hmm.
But a lot of people did believe, oh, it's just a place they came. No, it's not.
It should be, but it's not. Wasn't really.
No.
I don't know, but yeah, I mean, around Series 4 or 5. Actually, around Series 5, they actually got a bit better with the seeding for the most part.
For
Series
the
4
most
seeding
part.
was the worst seed, a lot of seedings, period.
That's the only thing wrong with Series 4 I can think of is the seedings.
Yeah, there was way too many. That was the big problem. It
Yes.
oversaturated the scenes. It was worthless. If they had 16 seeds, it'd been a lot more worthy.
Well, let's be honest, right? There's 96 robots, 32 of them. That's a third of the robots in the series.
And half of them weren't even that good seeds.
No,
Yeah.
we're looking at the bottom. Apart from I think literally apart from Stinger and suicidal tendencies, the bottom anything from 25 onwards was awful and shouldn't have been
Yeah,
seeded.
that's
And
true
there were
enough.
and there were a couple in the higher rankings that shouldn't have been seeded as high as they were.
Oh,
And there were
great.
some robots that missed out overall in general, which shouldn't
Hmm.
have when they shouldn't have.
Cough,
But
cough,
we will,
invertebrate, cough, cough.
yes,
But
get
we'll
to
get
that.
to that in
We'll get to it.
series 4. But
Yes.
since this is the last episode of Series 1, oh, because we have to go to Series 2 next time.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. There you go. There you go. Actually, right. Quick roundup for this heat for me. It was odd because it was very bad but very good at the same
I
time.
agree. Yeah, it was a very odd heat. No, but it
Um,
made up for it with the heat grand final, though.
Very 50-50. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10,
Hmm.
mostly because of the grand final. The only thing that I really don't like about this episode is that it was followed by Heat A of Series 2.
I mean, I've said it before. I love Series 2, but hands down the worst start to a series ever.
Oh yeah.
Because Series 1's beginning was alright, Series 2's wasn't.
Oh god, I just
Shogun's really the only
remember.
robot that let it down.
I just realised I've got to actually watch that again, haven't I? Oh god,
Yeah,
I haven't.
I
I've
will
been in it.
slightly enjoy watching it again, though. That's the sad thing. Because I know, actually, it's like an experiment in torture. This I know you don't like it, so I know you have to watch it.
Yes.
I don't mind watching any episode of series 2 again. So I'm like, all right, I'll watch this again. Why not? I've watched them like 10 times this year probably anyway. So
There
who
you go.
cares?
That's what
Hey,
James does in his spare time,
it's
everybody.
it's not that series 3. But overall, then, what is your opinion on series 1?
Series one's a very good start. Obviously, the problem is it's hard to really do a fair judgment because obviously it's the beginning.
Hmm.
It's very much the beginning. Like honestly, nothing has been done like this really before in England anyway.
Hmm.
So on that standpoint, it's very impressive. But obviously, you also got to look at another standpoint. There was still a lot of rubbish in it.
Hmm.
So obviously you don't do ratings. I do. My rating I'd probably go for is a fair 7 out of 10 throughout the entirety of it.
That's pretty decent.
Pretty fair.
I think this is one. It's a very good start for a series, considering how far it got later on. Like, it doesn't feel that horrible as a first. Like, sometimes you watch any other show. Sometimes you'll get to see a series 1, you just go, "Oh, it's not very good. It's not very funny. It's not very entertaining." But like, it gets better later on.
Mm.
Like a big example, something like Simpsons or something.
Oh yeah. Oh,
But
Simpsons are awful.
this is not that bad a first series, honestly. I mean, obviously, it still follows the series 1 and 2 format of Gauntlet Trials battles. Battles weren't that good. The
Yeah.
Gauntlet Trials did hinder a lot of robots, but not as much as Series 2. Series 2's Gauntlet was, again, a lot worse, and we'll get into why, because we'll have a little talk at the beginning why Series 2's shit before the
Yep.
actual heat will even start.
Yep.
But overall, Series 1, I actually do enjoy Series 1 a bit. I mean, I don't enjoy it as much as other series, obviously, because, there are better series, 3, 4, 6, and the reboot are probably better series overall, and probably maybe Series 7. But,
Mm.
again, I hate Series 5, so I won't put that in that category. But I still really, yeah, I once in a while, if I fancy watching it, I might watch it again. And yeah, it's nice to see where the series started, and you can tell it's the first series.
Yeah.
Clarkson's there.
Everything has to have a benchmark set.
Hmm. And I'll be honest with you, actually, one of the things I used to think about Series 1, which I think when watching them again for this review can maybe realize, I didn't actually mind Clarkson that much compared to a lot of people. So we were like, oh, he was terrible. I, I thought it was all right. Um, I think
I
I do.
wouldn't say he was terrible, but he wasn't overly impressive either.
I think maybe if he'd done another series, he might have improved me. I don't know because you can't tell. Because then if he would have stayed the same way, or he might have tried to do it differently or something. I don't know. But apart from actually, he probably wouldn't because it's Clarkson. He probably stayed the same way as he always does it. But I'm glad Craig Charles at least was the takeover from him because
Yes.
I love Craig Charles and I love him here.
Craig Kins is amazing.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Of
But
course, New Red Dwarf has started, and I'm happy about that because
of
I
course,
love
I
Red
still,
Dwarf.
yeah, of course, I watched that. But also, he's just a great presenter of the show, and it's just nice to see, a fresh take on it, I guess.
Yes.
So yeah, overall, series 1's like it's not the best series, but it's definitely a good start, and I don't feel like at any point I'm going, oh god, this series at any point compared to some of the first series or series next time.
Yeah,
Because you are joining me for the next heat, obviously. So
I am. I'm
we will
really
we will
not looking
enjoy
forward to
we will
it.
enjoy many things such as chainsaws falling off, robots not even going a meter, and a robot getting helped over a brick wall and a flame pit. Uh,
And the best robot lose and the best robot at the Heat losing in the first fucking
and
round.
this and the second best robot of the heat getting flipped over for no reason.
Yes.
Yay! So that'll be
Series two, everyone.
series. Welcome to series 2. The bullshit has begun.
Yes.
I don't know when the next one will be out, but it'll be out sometime, maybe next week. I don't know. Depends when when's ready. But this is the end of series 1, unfortunately. Well, or fortunately, depending if you don't like the series. Uh, I'm Jimjamatic, and
I'm Anderson9132. Thank you for having me once again. It's been good, and I look forward to. Well, I don't look forward to it, but I'll see you next. I'll see you for EA.
it's been tolerable.
Yeah.
See you later then.
See you later, bye.
Bye.